Hi ladies, today we're focusing on our packet for week 4, day 2. You're going to be on pages 46 and 47. Today our learning target is I can find the volume of a rectangular prism using a formula. Yesterday we focused on finding the volume of a shape and or a solid figure. And today we're going to actually really be using that formula to help us solve. Um, so formulas can be used to find the volume of a rectangular prism or cubes. And remember, a rectangular prism is just kind of that shape that has 6 faces. Um, so today we're going to be really focusing on using a couple different formulas, and a formula is a rule. So something that we want to make sure that we're following in order to solve these problems. So we talked a little bit yesterday about one of our formulas for volume. And remember, the volume is going to be that inside portion. It's how many of those little green cubes can fit inside of a shape. So one of those formulas is going to be length times width times height. And that's going to be that long portion times how wide it is times how tall it is. And just multiplying those 3 numbers to find the volume. Another way that you can do this is by finding the base. So sometimes you're given the base of a shape. So you'll know that it's the base either by it telling you it's the area of the base, or you'll notice that down below it doesn't say that. But when you have this portion where it just gives you a number and then it says your unit and it's squared, that means that they've found the base already. And our base is going to be the length of the shape times the width of the shape. So that's going to be already given to you. So it's possible that this base could have been 8 by 3 to give us 24. It could have been 4 by 6 to give us 24. It could be 12 by 2. So there's a lot of different ways that this base could have been found, but it doesn't really matter exactly what those other numbers are because the base is 24. So you can take the base times the height. So our base is our length times our width, but in order to find that, you're going to be taking what you already know as your base and multiplying it by your height. So we're going to be finding the volume of rectangular prisms using formulas today, or using those rules. So looking at our guided practice portion, you can go ahead and X out number 1 because that is from our previous page, which you do not have in front of you. Number 2 says a wooden block measures 5 centimeters tall, 3 centimeters wide, and 2 centimeters long. The base of the area, or the area of the base, is 6 centimeters. What is the volume? So we have to ask ourselves, how did we find the base? Okay, well, it's the length of the shape times the width of the shape. So we can ask ourselves, we have 3 centimeters wide, 2 centimeters long, which would give us our base of 6. So 3 times 2 gives us our base of 6. Or we can just multiply these 3 numbers together. Our length, which is 2, times our width, which is 3, times our height, which is 5. Or we can use that base. So remember, we want to make sure we know what our base is, which is the length and the width. So we want to eliminate those 2 numbers and replace it with 6. And we can multiply that by our height, which is 5. So by looking at these 2 problems, I know in my brain I can quickly and easily solve one of them a lot faster than the other, but they both are going to give me the exact same answer. So on this one, we have 6 times 5, and we know that 6 times 5 gives us an answer of 30. And then on the top, we can go through and solve this one by one. So 2 times 3 gives me 6. I'm going to do these 2 numbers together. So 2 times 3 gives me 6. 6 times 5 is 30. So either way is going to get me the exact same answer. It just depends on the information that you're given if it just gives you the base or if it gives you all three measurements. But regardless, you're going to find the same answer. And remember that our answer is not just 30. It's going to be whatever our unit is, which is centimeters. And then we want to make sure that we're representing that it's cubed, because remember we're talking about cubic units. So in order to do that, we're going to put a little 3. So 30 centimeters cubed. Or you can say it's 30 cubic centimeters. Either way works. You just want to make sure that you represent that your volume is a cubic unit. So you can either do centimeters cubed with this little 3 as your exponent, or you can say it's 30 cubic centimeters. Either one works. So let's go over here to number 3. We want to identify what our length is, what our width is, and what our height is. So our length is how long this space is, which would be 9. Our width is going to be how wide the shape is, which is 2. And then our height is how tall our shape is, which is 4. So because we're given all 3 of these units, we can multiply them like this, or we can identify what our base is. And our base would be the length and the width together. So 9 times 2 gives me 18. And I can do 18 times 4. So either one of these is going to work. It's just completely up to you on how you want to solve it. So if I take 9 times 2, I get 18. And then if I take 18 times 4, I'm going to get 72. And then you want to make sure that you're remembering that we're talking about the unit of inches. So we want to make sure that we have inches as our unit. And then we also want to make sure that we are including either the little 3 or we are including that measurement cubic unit. So we can either put that little 3 above the inches. This is our exponent that represents cubed. Or again, like I said, you could say 72 cubic inches. Either one works. So cubic inches and inches with the little 3 that represents cubed both give you the exact same result. Down below on number 4, it gives us the area of our base already. So remember, our base is a combination of our length and our width. So it doesn't give us the length and width, so we're going to be using that base. So our base is 24. So we're using this formula right here, base times height, which means we're going to multiply that by our height, how tall the shape is, which is 9. So when we take 24 times 9, I'm going to give you just a few seconds. Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to solve that problem, 24 times 9, and then unpause when you're ready. All right, so 24 times 9, you should have gotten an answer of 216. But remember, we have to have either our unit, which is yards, cubed, which is going to be this little 3 up above. Let me grab this. So it's either going to have that little cubed, which is our exponent of 3, or our answer will be 216 cubic yards. So again, either one of these works. It's just up to you and your preference. All right, so at this point, we're going to flip to the next page. You are going to be completing 5 through 10 independently. So remember, you're using those 3 length times width times height, or if you don't have that, you can use base times height. So we're going to flip to page 47 and talk about a couple of these problems together. So on number 11, it says the dictionary is 3 inches thick. What is the volume of the dictionary? So that word thick is representing the height, okay? So you want to make sure that you are using this information and filling it in so that you can find the volume of this shape. On number 2, it says 2 ovens have a have measurements as shown. Which oven has a greater volume and how much greater is the volume? Show your work. So there are 2 questions that it's asking on this problem. It wants to know if oven A or oven B has the greater volume. So you need to fill in oven blank has the greater volume. Then you want to tell me which one or how much greater oven A is than oven B, or how much greater oven B is than oven A. So the volume is greater by blank cubic inches. So you need to find the area or the volume of oven A and the volume of oven B to figure out which one is larger. And then you need to tell me how much larger. So on that problem, we're finding the difference between the 2 volumes. So you want to make sure that you're using the appropriate operation when finding that difference. On number 13, the perimeter of an equilateral triangle is 51 feet. What is the length of one of its sides? Explain your work. So equilateral triangle. I want you to think when you're explaining your work, how does the triangle being equilateral help you find the perimeter of the shape? We know that an equilateral triangle has equal sides. So equilateral means equal. So each of these sides is the exact same amount. So how can you use 51 feet to figure out? So we know perimeter is going to be the total of all 3 of these sides added together. So how does 51 feet as our perimeter, and knowing that the shape is all sides are equal, helping you to find the perimeter? On number 15, it says Harry is in line at the store. He has 3 items that cost $5.95, $4.25, and $1.05. Explain how Harry can add the cost of the items mentally before he pays for them. So we talk about this a lot. When I'm at the store and I'm trying on a bunch of different clothes, I always am quickly kind of adding these the prices up in my head so I know I have enough money. So how could we use compatible numbers to help solve this problem mentally? What would each number be rounded to? So how could I round these to those compatible, easy numbers that I can use within my brain? Because we know when we're rounding, that should be a number that I can quickly add in my brain. I should never have to write anything down if I want to do something mentally. So think about what you could round each of those numbers to. You can either round it to the nearest whole number, so you don't even have to deal with dollars and cents, or you could even round it to something that's a little bit easier to use. It's completely up to you. So you want to kind of think about what you would round those to, and maybe mentally what that, if he added that up mentally, what would his cost be close to? On number 15, it says choose all the expressions that can be used to find the volume of this wooden box. Remember, an expression does not have an equal sign, just kind of a side note. We know that expressions are just kind of that order of operations. They don't have an equal sign. So on this one, you can use different formulas. You can either use that base times height or length times width times height, but you want to make sure that you are using all of those numbers in order to be able to solve this problem. And you also want to make sure that you're kind of using the correct combination or using the correct operation. Something that's a little bit different also is regardless of the number placement, you're still going to get the same answer. So regardless of what order I put these numbers in, I'm still going to equal the same thing. So if I took 4 times 6 times 3, I'm going to get the same thing as 3 times 4 times 6 or 6 times 3 times 4. It doesn't matter. You're always going to get the same answer if you're multiplying those numbers together. On this problem, there are 3 correct answers. So make sure that you have 3 correct answers listed before you call it good. All right, so just a reminder, it is extremely important that you are completing this entire assignment before you go to Pearson Realize and complete the 428-20 quick check. Remember, this assignment is kind of like what we do in class. You always do your classwork before you do your homework. All right, because your classwork is what helps you better understand what it is that you're doing and practice what it is that we learned. The homework, technically, I'm going to call it homework, but that's more of your assessment piece. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're practicing these assignments on your paper before you go to Pearson Realize as more of your assessment piece that I'm going to be checking and looking at to kind of track your progress. So please, please, please make sure that this entire assignment has been done because this is your practice. If you're practicing on these pages, you're more likely to do a lot better on that Pearson Realize assignment. So as always, if you ever have any questions, please, please, please reach out. And I'm more than happy to help. You can reach me by email or you can use the Remind app. And if you need me to call you, I'm more than happy to do that as well. All right, ladies, nice job today.